Okay, guys, so I don't know if this has started yet, but I'm going to go ahead and just start speaking, and we'll see how this goes from there. This is the first time I've ever tried to do a live stream from this setup, so we're going to check out and probably work through a bunch of bugs all at the same time. So I'm going to be doing um, a lot of painting of miniatures. I have a tremendous amount of miniatures. I'll go ahead and jump to that camera so you can see what I'm talking about. And you can see here I've got to clear this space out here so I can go ahead and start painting. I have my paintbrushes and all sorts of hobby stuff around me, which I will get more into. And I'll be better organized in the future. Okay, let me get back to just looking at me. Let me get working on some of this stuff while I do this. If anyone's listening to this, let me know how the audio sounds. I would appreciate that. I have a bunch of things I just need to figure out what to do with. I don't know if this is going to be interesting to people. I'm hoping it will be. I have a lot of projects I want to do. One of the things I've been wanting to do, let me make sure this is actually going. Get to. I don't know how to tell if this thing's going or not. Excuse me while I whistle. And am I streaming? Content, view all. Clips, views, sort by. I don't know if I'm streaming. My studio update thing hasn't caught up. Okay, so I have one. I need to change how many years ago this thing shows because it shows me as doing this 3 years ago. That's kind of hilarious. See what that looks like. It says stream is offline. Okay. I don't know if I'm live. Okay. Shows me live. And we have me looking at my phone. That's kind of funny. I'm going to go ahead and put this down then. So I have made it live. Good. Now we just got to wait for people to come in and for me to start painting. That's the big thing, right? So I don't know if people are going to hear with this mic very well. I might have to go to my old mic, which I actually have right down here. And the reason why that mic is better in many ways is because it collects sound from all directions. Not just from a specific direction like this shotgun mic does. Where'd my stuff go? Let me jump over to my other camera again. You can see what I'm doing here. So I save cards like this, not because I'm planning to go back into the Comfort Inn and stay at this place, but This ends up being great cardstock for DIY projects. It's hard to sometimes buy those type of things. One of my daughters ended up giving me a bunch of these stickers, and unfortunately a lot of the stickers are far more political than I am, and I'm not advertising for any particular group, though I'm not against it for the most part. So I want these things some places, but not necessarily on my stream or in my videos. I feel like if you're going to do that, then you kind of have to either be something I really am into, like many of the posters on the wall. Actually, let's see if I can do this. Can I? Yay! We got that part. All right, so we have my frame. Turn it up. There we go. Perfect. All right, so we have me framed, and you can see me painting, which is actually how I want to do this. So now you can kind of get a feel for what I'm doing, though the geometry of me going like this might be a little weird. I don't think so, though. I think that actually works really well. That's funny. I just need to get this microphone closer to what I'm doing, so I'm not having to sit at a weird angle like this and have my hands over here and I'm facing a different direction with my camera up there. I need to get my microphone over here. That's what I really need to do. And that's possible. I have a wall right over here. All right. So I have some, like this is like the Millennium Falcon, like a little metal kit. My wife bought this for me thinking I would love it. I have had a hard time starting it, to be fair. I just haven't done it. I probably would love it. I look at them and I go, that's super cool. I tend to use a lot of cheap paints. So like the folk art, the apple barrel, this type of stuff. I have a whole setup of like 90 paints over here. But that's not all I have, because I also have a bunch of Games Workshop paint up here and a bunch of these paints here. I actually bought a set here recently of I guess these are Reaper paint? No, not Reaper. I forget what it is. It was the one that had Boo and Minsk in it. I paid them up because I was doing a video trying to talk about Diablo, but apparently new players of not Diablo, of Baldur's Gate, excuse me. New players of Baldur's Gate 3 don't know who Boo and Minsk are as much as other people do. So, I guess. Let's see. I am not seeing my setup there, but I am seeing my stream chat has come up on OBS, but it has not come up on there. So if you're talking to me and OBS isn't populating this because I haven't got everything linked properly, I truly apologize, and I'm going to occasionally look over on actual live stream. Maybe that's what I need to do. Let me come here and figure this out. Okay. I gotta get out my rabbit hole of stuff here. Okay, so I have a thing and it's called My Broadcast. That's so dumb. Okay, so I need to mute myself so I'm not listening to myself talk. and push play. Okay. I do not want to see myself continuously because that's distracting. I'm going to put my chat box right here in front of my face so I'm not looking at me. I don't know if that bothers you, but whenever I use something with a portal where you look at yourself, I can't. I always catch myself looking at me and getting distracted. It's kind of silly. And I don't know if you can hear my dogs in the background barking. Probably not. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this right here. I have a little box set of new miniatures. And I say new because literally these things are new. One second. So I've been quite a fan of these. And what I like about them is it's kind of filled a hole of all the stuff that I've been wanting to do. Some of this stuff, like the Pathfinder goblins, I'm kind of a huge fan of. And they're different. So they may not be my every goblin, but they're going to be a creature in my world. And I have over here just an absolute massive amount of miniatures. Probably, and these are mostly painted over here. I have probably about 200 or 300 miniatures over here. Mostly painted, as I said. So going to be a lot of fun to actually get into and kind of make my world rounded out. Things I have completed as far as sets. I don't think I'll ever need to get kobolds again. I have like 10 different models, all the same scale, size, same manufacturer essentially. And they're all based up, painted, and really good. And then I have probably about 25 bugbears. Probably will never need any more bugbears. Let me grab something so you can see some of my super old stuff, and then something that you can see some of my newer stuff. All right, I got a splattering of things. None of those are my super new ones. Well, I guess here, we'll start with this. This is a super new, and I don't know I'm not sure how I like the lighting. Give me a second. Let me turn on another light. Yes, I like that lighting a lot better. Okay. So, a little bit far away. So, these are supposed to be the Dragonkin for 5e, or in, I guess, third technically, or anything with Dragonlance in it. And I paid these guys up a while back. Look at that, Eder caps. I never had Eder caps until I got these miniatures. That's one of the really cool ones. I also got a bunch of like spores and funguses and even some mimics out of another thing. Super cool. And like, for whatever reason, otters. So many little people, so nice, came out in that edition, and it's going to be so nice to paint those guys up. Little people of all types. And then some other stuff like Shawagins. And for whatever reason, there was a bunch of like werejackals and whatnot, but I'm not necessarily going to use them as werejackals. Anyway, so I have some of my blue Dragonkin. I'm going to paint them up. They're going to be a faction in my world. I probably will have to find a different manufacturer for the different colors, but this I want to be all blue. But let's go all the way back. Let's go back to like 1989 back when I was like 13. This here is a drow priestess or wizard from AD&D 2nd edition. It might be a lead miniature. Yes, that would be a lead miniature. You can tell by the basing of it. Back then, basic concepts. Black is black, white is white. Not a whole lot going on. Later, I got more into like war games. This is actually a miniature from a game called Chronopia. It's an Amantian Golem. Again, I mean, I've got a little more refined, staying more in lines. But that's metallic. It's not anything super nice. A little bit later, I did some more D&D stuff. This is going to be a little bit more like what I do modern. More what you're going to see in this. I got some highlights. I got some shading. A lot of wet blends. Colors are good. Still a little dark. I might be doing some customization. Things like this. This is not a miniature. This is about 4 miniatures with a lot of green stuff. Green stuff, for those who don't know, is stuff like this. This is actually green stuff. It's a 2-part epoxy. So what this was, it was a dragon ogre Shaggoth with some tyrannid arms and scales. The wings and the hands both come from a demon creature. I forget what her name was in Chronopia. It was a female pig-like demon with a barely covering and very grotesque bra, mostly because of the dynamics of everything else. But yeah, you can see like green stuff, like a little second entity popping out of his chest. This is supposed to be for my Beastman army. Was supposed to be a Jabberslythe because they didn't have that miniature for like 10 years. They now have it and it looks way cooler than what I have. However, this is still pretty cool and it's heavy. This is about 3.5 pounds. It's a very solid pewter miniature. And I'm going to set this over here somewheres and try not to destroy this thing in the process. All right. So I have lots of little miniatures like that. I'm going to be doing a lot more. I have thousands of unpainted miniatures. This is just a few. And this is going to be a thing I work on while I do this. I also have lots of lots like this. And I'm probably not going to keep these. I'm probably going to be selling them. Like this is lot number 2. I have lot number 1 over here. And I actually have a photo booth right over here. Right, so I can get on here. Right over here. Where I can take really good photos. I won't be able to add them in the middle of the stream. But I will do a community post talking about the fact that I'm going to be probably getting rid of all my old lead miniatures on Facebook. And you can find me there. And I'll be probably trying to sell them because I don't think I have a need to paint them. I don't know when that's going to start. I don't suspect anytime super soon, but it might. See if I can just kind of put this up here out of the way. Let me get some stuff out of the way. So I had this little bookshelf thing behind me, the black one, and I had extra shelves. I'm going to use this for something. I don't know what. I didn't use them all because D&D books don't fit very well on there. Also, if you ever have any questions about the D&D books behind me, I can get them out, pull them out, and we can talk about that too. This is a large straw, one of those Bobo straws, whatever you call it, the little bubble things. Tool. I don't plan to use this tool for right now. But I have a feeling this would be a great setup. This is not a D&D book, but if you can imagine us talking about a book, and I could literally be like talking about it right here. I think that's good. This is actually an old StarCraft, the Heart of the Swarm strategy guide I got back when I bought that game, like 2012 or whatever it was. I have a lot of things like that. I've been playing games for a long time, and I have kept a lot of really cool things. This is a great thing right here. So, these here are little tufts of grass. Great for putting on bases. Back in the day, I bought Citadel ones. In the future, I'm going to buy other companies probably. Not necessarily just Citadel. But I have like yellow flowers for flock. When I get actually into painting it, today is sort of a day of setting up and getting things organized. I think you guys are going to be really impressed. But today I am expecting maybe a viewer or two. Probably not. Looks like I have one watching maybe right now. And then we'll go from there. So sorry for this organized. And if you don't want to lurk, feel free to ask questions. I should be able to see it. It might be a 10-second to 20-second delay, though, based on what I see in the chat right now. I don't know where I'm putting this stuff. I need organizers. Oh, yeah, I have entire... Oh, Lord. I have entire box sets like this of miniatures. And I got a lot of tools. I got a lot of tools that make my job easier. Lots of little bits for rocks. Eventually I'll get into some of the resin pours for like crystals and different things. I even have the little rollers you use to roll out terrain. I'm going to be doing that type of stuff too. But let's get into what these knolls are. We'll just do a little bit of a show and tell. So I want to make sure I get all my miniatures. I don't think this is just knolls. I want to be able to do all my D&D setup. This is not just knolls, but there are knolls from different settings in here and a lot of human stuff like human guards and whatnot with like bows. I'm probably going to go back and repaint these. I like the concept of them, but I feel like I would just do a lot better painting. And I like the miniatures so much I don't want to get rid of them. And I feel like this would be a good video. I got a few plastic things, but not many. The knolls are pretty cool. This one here is a plastic knoll, but most of my stuff is metal. These old cases. Yeah, this one's doesn't got a whole lot in it. First two tiers doesn't have a lot. It's got a few undead, few whatever these little red cap things are. Weird looking things. Some sort of weird little dude. I have quite a few of them. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Probably something to do with the story. Probably going to turn some of them into statues. It's always a good way. Oh, So another thing I want to do is I kind of want to draw my maps live on a live stream. I think that'd be fun. Little tote. I've had lots of thoughts. This one here is supposedly orcs and goblins. Probably is more of that. Now here's some interesting ones. So these right here I did not paint. And I want to be very delicate with this and show you what I'm talking about here. This here, you're going to have a hard time ever finding this. I don't think, first of all, that's real string. They actually strung that bow. These are pre-painted miniatures that came from, boy, who would it be? It wouldn't be Hasbro. I don't think it was TSR. I think it was Wizards of the Coast in that short period of time when they owned it between TSR and Hasbro. So in the year 2000, when 3rd edition came out, they had their first ever release of pre-painted miniatures. And they had orcs and they had skeletons. And I bought a box of each. Excuse me, I have to parch my throat here. I have some orcs that I painted. These are older paintings, so kind of happy, kind of not happy. They look fierce. They look cool. I tried to move away from the typical just doing green for the orcs. I wanted to have different varieties. And not just necessarily like black orcs from Warhammer Fantasy Battle. I have those too. Matter of fact, I have an entire army of orcs that I probably will be painting, and then that will be some faction of orcs. Anyways, I have a bunch of these, which are like some sort of berserker thing. I use them as sort of wild men. This here was a heavily modified miniature that I made. There's so many modifications, first of all. This was a sword on this side, not a flail. It did not have a cat for a shoulder pad. It did not have a backpack. It was not female. As a matter of fact, I have this miniature again. Where's it at? Let me see if I can find this miniature, because I have it again. And it's kind of funny looking at the original and then looking at how I modified it. I don't know where it's at. I think it might be over here on the thing next to me. Let me go look. But yeah, this was, I had a girlfriend that wanted to play, and I wanted to make something that was cool and different for her. She played half a game session and never played again. It was a lot of work for nothing. Well, for sure, no one wants to sit here and look at the side of me probably while I do this. Here is another miniature I painted. This is one of my more newer ones. It is a owlbear. I like the eyes. I actually painted this one on my original painting channel. There's a whole video of me painting this miniature, which I might be cutting from this video to just put videos up like that over there and going from there. But yeah, that's the story of that miniature. She played literally half a game session. Down here I have a bunch of goblins. These are a bunch of like plastic, real cheap. I don't know if I'm going to keep them. They're just designed to be goblins. There's a few plastics in here. These are like more elite goblins, and you can see I did some sort of like custom base. And I actually like the simplicity of these guys. The oversized, ill-proportioned weapons. They just look. I wish I could get more of these. If I could get about 4 more of these, this would be the bulk of what my goblins are. You'd have like a high goblin. You'd have low goblins. Then I could go back and get more. These are actually Noblars from Ogre Kingdoms, and these are the hunters, the Noblar trappers, and I have several of those. You can see they got like bear traps and stuff like that. They're kind of goofy. I would want to have a bunch of these, and these are perfect for my world because I have many goblin types. My actual home D&D game has mountain goblins, has plains goblins, has swamp goblins, has low goblins and high goblins. And the mountain, plains, and swamp technically are like cousins of the goblins. They're like a different variations. The low goblins actually are slightly more functional than a dog. They have increased sense of smell and they have increased hearing and sight, but they aren't able to prostrate themselves to walk upright. And they literally travel around with like low IQs and have wider, longer mouths, like a mouth. And yeah, they're basically pseudo canine. High goblins were the ones you saw with actually polished armor and more intelligence. And then a rare few are sorcerers. And they become their own type based upon their base. So a low goblin can never become a sorcerer, but a high goblin, plain, swamp, mountain can all become that. And the type of goblin they become when they become a sorcerer is based on the original type they were before. Okay, so the bowmen I was talking about, the undead, are these. These came pre-painted. And I want to say you got 10 for like $20 in like the year 2000. $20 was a lot more back then, but really good deal. Certainly well more than $20 now, I would imagine, just because of how rare they are. But I have the same type of thing going on with undead as I do with goblins. Not necessarily origin, but power levels. So these are not fully painted. They just have a little quick spurts of white across it. I haven't painted any of the other stuff yet. And they're kind of shoddy. These here would be your level 1 skeleton, base hit dice skeletons. Your level like 10 to like 15 are going to be skeleton with actual intelligence, with hatred and malice running through them beyond like predatory stuff. So what my skeletons used to kind of get painted out to look like is like this. And I'd probably go a little bit more white on them. This is an old paint job. But I also have some things like zombie lords. I don't know how well this... Yeah, it's coming through pretty good. This here would be like some sort of like juju zombie from like that. And then this here would be like some sort of necromancer. And I have a couple necromancer types. Even some skeletal dogs. A couple different types. Down here I'll have other types of undead, I'm sure. If I remember right, yeah. We have some ghosts. This type of stuff. A banshee, a couple mummies. a ghost with a flaming sword. Always a fun one. I don't know, it's better to see it like that maybe. And I might put up photos at some point in time. And then I have higher level, like actual like mummy lords. I think that's kind of cool. And then we have more of the high level skeletons. Yeah. Lots of vampires. Here's 3 of them right here. I like the vampires I have because they look like they come from different time eras. Like they're old, they're ancient. I love this guy's armor. I just happened to stumble across the red and silver. I love this guy too. He's like a warrior poet. Good times. I got this one, of course. You gotta have your chick vampire. I think it's pretty standard to have a female vampire. I even have skeletal dwarves. Not everyone has that. One of my favorites, though, and I'm the only one I've ever seen have this miniature, is my skeletal jester. Has anyone ever seen a skeletal jester? Oh, we got spinning toehold. You asked me when I went live. Restarting your OE solo playthrough soon? Any plans on doing an original Dungeon Dragon or maybe a 1E solo playthrough? Yes to both of those. I want to do I want to continue my story and work through that to some sort of conclusion. Probably starting the beginning next year. So January. I'm going to be jumping into Homes Edition for about 10 videos to kind of talk about what Homes is like. It's a revision of original Dungeons and Dragons. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a lot of AD&D First Edition. That's my plan. And when I go into that, I'll probably be doing some playthroughs with that as well. And my daughter wants to play, and I don't know which version I want to do. Maybe BX. Maybe Homes. I haven't decided. I have both those box sets, actually. Let me put this stuff back. And I have all the AD&D First Edition books I need to play, of course. I grab those box sets. So this here is the Homes Edition box I have. I have the original box set with that. I have a little bit of notes. I was doing some reading in here the other day, and I realized I needed to stop because it's very easy for me to get conflated on the rules between these two. A lot, like you look in the box set where it had that original cartoonish art. Look at that. They actually did. This is a literal thing. We can see if we can get that a little better. This was a literal thing right here where you had that cartoonish art. Isn't that funny? All right. So yeah, I do have the Homes Edition, which I think this is the only version of the rules you can't get on like a legal copy of a legal PDF. You have to either have like a one that is not purchased, or you have to have the original thing. So I don't know how I'm going to work that. I really don't want to use my actual box set a whole lot, but I might have to. So here is my basic box set for BX. I have the basic book with Keeping the Borderlands, which I have run that module before. And then, oops. And this box set is not perfect, for sure. It's got a little bit of damage here and there. Some of the side is not perfect, as you can see here, I think, right there. But it's mine. It's probably a little more faded than it was when it originally came out. But again, that's okay. And then here's my expert box set. I don't have the Bigme series. For a while there I did, but I didn't have the box set, and I decided I wasn't going to keep it because if I ever got the Bigme set, I wanted to have, if I ever played Bigme, I wanted to have the actual box set. But this one here has Isle of Dread module, and then it has the adventure book. No other little flyers. This box set's a little worse for the wear. But I have legal purchased copies of the PDFs, so a lot of times I just do that. But yeah. And then I have all my AD&D stuff here. Let me go grab my few of those books. So for those who don't know, in AD&D First Edition, they came out with a lot of reprints that were copies of the originals, and I have an original 1977 monster manual over there. But I also have the orange bound. You can see this here, kind of. I have a complete set of all the orange bound, which sit behind me. And all the original AD&D First Edition with the Jeff Easley art. You know, like the dragon doesn't breathe big enough fireballs and whatnot, but really cool stuff. And I have all of those. But again, and a long time ago, I talked about my outdoor survival. I still have my outdoor survival box. One of the non-TSR games that they completely based 1974 D&D on. We'll get into that as people have more questions. Let's see here. Spain Toeholds got responded. Yeah, I never seen a skeletal jester. Yeah, I agree. Holmes had a really good cover art. Yes, and I do have all of them, including the harder ones to get, like the Greyhawk. I have the Greyhawk box set. So yeah, or the Greyhawk Orangebound book. And like I said, I have some of the non-Orangebound books. But the plan for this was I would figure I'd just talk about D&D with people who love D&D and then just paint miniatures. That's kind of my plan for these streams, to get my home games miniatures wrapped up, maybe move some of my other miniatures that I just don't need or want. Because I have way more 40K and Warhammer Fantasy Battle miniatures than I will ever need. For example, I have like 500 Warhammer Fantasy Battle dwarves. And well, I guess now that's old world, which is cool. I don't know if I'm going to get into that like that. Maybe I will. Probably not. I don't really have anyone that plays it around me. Kind of a fun, like, talk about old box sets, though. Look at these old things. This is literally an old Raoul Partha miniature box set with all the miniatures. And they went kind of half plastic, which was really terrible and cheap. And then they had some, for whatever reason, metal bases. I couldn't tell you. I don't know enough about this to speak on it. But there is some weird stuff in here. I got this later in life. I got this as part of a trade with other stuff. But like this one here, this is all, I didn't do any of this painting, but I don't think I did. I don't know, maybe I did. Some of it's painted white. went through a phase where I painted stuff in white. But I don't think I did. Anyways, I have the complete basic hero box set. I have whatever box set that one is, and then I have this one here, the Ravenloft box set. With all the classic monsters in it. You know, it's got Adam in there and basically Count Dracula, you know, that type of stuff. Strahd. But anyways, let me go ahead and continue to get this stuff set up, and I'm going to at least try and get to painting some sort of miniature. I got this new container for water. I'm going to check it out and see if I like it. This here is actually a airbrush booth, like a painting booth. And I need to get it set up to basically do a trap on the air so I can do it. And then I need to get me an airbrush. I've never actually used an airbrush. I've always wanted to. But I got a bunch of my brushes over here. So let me go grab a couple sheets of paper towels, get some water, and then go from there. Yes, I'm very happy with my collection of orange-bound books. I actually did that for my 50th birthday. So when I turned 50 this year, and I wanted to make sure I had my orange-bound books for basically my 50th. It was kind of like my gift to me. So I went around and tried to find at least copies that were decent enough. I mean, they're not show qualities. They're not perfects, near mint or anything. But at least I can thumb through them and talk about them and this type of stuff. But let me go get that stuff and we'll talk more. I'll be right back. I have a lot of things to set up. I have a lot of thoughts like this. Somewhere, I have to install this. So I can then have my paper towels. So up here maybe, something like that. I don't know. Underneath my desk right here would be great because I could just grab it and I have paper towels. I just haven't... It's a thing I haven't done yet, but I want to. All right. Well, since I have someone here, Spin, I'll just call you Spin if that's cool. Spin, what do you think I should do for painting a miniature? Something new, something old, something hero, something monstrous, something you've seen that I don't have painted? I'll give you a few minutes to think about that while I get everything set up how I want it, sort of. Still got some stuff I'm navigating. in the future, I've considered literally doing a like a little spinning wheel where I talk about how I want this to kind of work, and then I like spin the wheel, and then I decide that's what I'm going to paint that day. I think that could kind of work. I have done little bags like this right here for like the Warhammer stuff, and I've thought about the fact that I might just paint all my dwarves, and then I'll keep what I want to keep in case I ever want to do like a 2,500 point army in the old world. I say that because I have probably like 10 to 12,000 points of dwarves, so I literally could just go through it and be ridiculous. All right. He might have stepped away. So let me go ahead and think about what I want to paint. Something already primed, obviously. I think I'm going to grab 2 of my Bugbear and paint those. One second. So these both are supposed to have shields. This one is the pewter version, and this here is, I will probably guess, in like an STL reprint. You really can't tell the difference between them. They paint different though. And I don't know where this guy's shield is. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I have like 5 of these though. Well, I take that back. I only got 4. Maybe on this one, the actual metal one, instead of him having a shield, I'm going to give him a second weapon. Let me save him for a different day, and I'll paint these 3. I'll put him over there. He'll be the one of the leaders of my bugbears. Now, bugbears really don't have a defined thing. This is just a wash that's been put over it. The gloss can be taken down. That's because it was an oily paint that went over it. I don't know if I'm going to use... So the way I paint with this is I'm going to start, and it's going to be obnoxiously bright until I hit it with an ink at the end, which will drop the color, the pigment, the saturation, or whatever you want to call it, dramatically. I don't think I'm going to use any of these right now. We have furs. We have a little bit of, okay, we have wood. We have some leather, a belt that could be metal and leather, and then like a cloth tunic. And I probably want to do that cloth tunic different for each one, so we can have 1, 2, 3, and then the boss over there. And I think that's how I'm going to do that. So maybe I need to paint the tunic first, so I have my identifier. Or maybe I just paint that last. Let's paint that last. I'm kind of excited to paint this wood. So we're going to use this matte terrestrial beige. And then we'll use this matte chestnut. Chestnut's going to be a little rich, a little warm in colors. And that's going to be what I do over the wood. And then I will do probably either a beige or the chestnut for the leather. So the haft of this weapon is also wood. I'll probably do that with the same wood color. And when I do his left shin guard, I'll probably do that in the same color I'm doing the leather. So let me go ahead and do a white so I can get that. What is this? Parchment's not quite white. Here we go. Again, this is a real cheap apple barrel paint. You get these from like Michael's, or I think Walmart has some of these types. They're all kind of the same thing. Or Hobby Lobby. I thought about getting like an apron. This one's going to need some water. It's been forever since I've used it. I am not shocked by that. Let me get a more worn down brush. All right, let's see what he has to say. Okay, so like the stuff I was talking about with the dragonkin. So yeah, like I don't know if I want dragonkin to be like a playable race. Like I want that in my world. I think it's great if it fits your world. My world is kind of a sword and sorcery, low magic. But for like a bad guy that comes in type of thing, oh, I think it's a great thing. Oh yeah, no, I have. Well, let me just grab some of my Bugbear so you can see them. I have a lot of Bugbear. One second. I gotta put this on mute. All right, sorry about that. My mom called me. My mom is older. I definitely don't want to miss any phone calls from her. So here's one that I painted up a while back. Um, the weapon broke. Unfortunately, it was a. I've got it somewhere. It was a hammer. I was modified. I think I have something from like the same clan genre type of thing, but this one has a flail. So I have these, and I have a lot of these guys. Like I have like 3 of these. Oh, here it is. So here's this exact model, and I'm doing them in different colors. This one came out more yellow. This one is more dark. So yeah, I have a few bugbears. What was that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then those 4. So 14 bugbear that I have right here on my table next to me. I'm not going to be painting all these guys, but maybe I am. Maybe this is where I'm starting. It would get a thing out of the way. And maybe I'll change out what he has for a weapon in the process. This is the most fierce of the bugbear. You really can't see him very well. He is a cleric, I'm guessing, of some nature. I don't know. Make sure I grab the right water. All right. So I have cheap brushes like this, and I use them a lot. And then somewhere over here, I think, one second. These are little tools I'm going to use for painting. And then you put them in this little post board thing, and it allows you to let things dry at their own pace, as you can see. It's kind of cool. I'll get to this eventually. Just kind of creating like a Jenga setup here. Anyways, these are my more expensive paints or paintbrushes. My mom and dad bought these for me a while back, and I've sadly not used them enough because I just kind of like using cheap brushes. But I have a whole kit, and I need to start using them. Anyways, let me grab my cheap brush and get into this. Now, all I'm trying to do is the part that's been covered up by this glaze, this little wash over it to get the base color. I just want to kind of go over that with this white so that when I paint the leather, it doesn't have the taint of this red color in it. But I kind of want to do this without getting it all over the glaze. I kind of want that to be pured. I think that's a new word. I was going to work on my video for Saturday today, but I didn't get a chance to get it done. So I will save that, and I will have that out. My next video on Saturday is going to be about giant monsters in Blackmore, Supplement 2. Because not only are there giants, but there are massive creatures that technically would be considered giant, but they're not. And then there are large creatures that are considered to be giant. So kind of wrapping one's head around that and classifying it. And they actually start to get into different classifications. They have what they were calling at one point in time a giant class. And they weren't talking about giants. They were talking about large animals. Which is kind of funny. That is the charm of original Dungeons & Dragons, though. In many ways. So yeah, not only am I big into old versions of Dungeons & Dragons, but I used to do all the hobby stuff too. Up to and including building terrain, hand drawing my maps. I feel like these things could be popular in the channel too. Though what was funny is I talked about me painting in a community post, and like 80% of the people told me not to. But I don't think they took into consideration I might be talking to my viewers about older Dungeons & Dragons. Spin says he likes low magic settings too, especially Jack Vance novels. Magic was supposed to be rare, mysterious, powerful, and dangerous. Oh, he said you'll never get tired of my original Dungeons & Dragons. Thank you, I appreciate it. And I have been really listening to a lot of the Jack Vance books. I don't own any of the physical copies, so I can only get them on audiobook, but I have like 4 or 5 of the books on audio. Currently, I'm listening to I'm listening to Jack Vance. What is this? The Planet of Adventure. You can see it right there. I'm on chapter 5. It's a pretty good one. It's more of a sci-fi one, if I'm to be fair, but pretty good. So the thing about low pigment colors like white is you sometimes have to do several layers, especially with cheap white. Like I just went completely over this lower strap when I was doing the glazing, whatever you want to call it. And it's probably going to take a couple layers to get that back, if I'm lucky. You can see here below his chin, right here, how it went from like white to like a pink. I'll probably have to hit that again. Other than that, I'm not worried a whole lot about the recesses because that's going to be dark anyways. More of the things I'm worried about are the major parts that stick out, like this wood on the inside. I can't have that with pre-color on it, or I'll have to darken it to oblivion, or maybe it'll just be a happy accident and work. I mean, I'll probably drown that anyways into oblivion because of where it is. But things like that little strap right here will be very visible and probably be a high point. So I talked about these being maybe STLs. I don't know. I feel like they are because I had the pewter model, and when I bought them, I want to say they were primed white or primed, I think, and I thought they were the same thing. And when I got them, I'm like, what in the heck? These aren't pewter. Now they did go back and redo a lot of these miniatures when Finecast came out in wherever 40K, around 15s, I think. Aught 10s maybe. Around, the late into the aughts. And that might be what this is. I know that the Reaper went from pewter to what they call the bone line. And this might be that. But to be honest, I can't even tell you where these come from. I'm just touching things up, and we'll go from there. So Spin, have you seen any of the latest stuff I put out? Like the astral plane and ethereal plane video? I don't even know what that brown is. It's kind of funny. Did that a long time ago. Which means I probably can't redo this exactly. I need to make sure I got his bandage on the right side. I don't think I'm going to go super gruesome on this. I'm probably going to go just his tunic color. I did an army of Ogre Kingdom miniatures once. I'll have to show you that someday. It was very grotesque. I had used matte paints for everything and then painted on blood. And then I went over the blood with a clear gloss. So it was actually glossy looking. And everyone I played loved it, but about 80% of them said I couldn't let my kids play with it. It's too gross. And it wasn't their style. I get it. And even though everyone loved it, and I had like hand painted tattoos on there and all sorts of fun stuff, it never won any painting contests back then. My Beastman did, though. So I don't think the judges liked the grotesqueness of it. And now that I'm older, I probably wouldn't want that either. I was fairly young when I did that. Okay. I went to go do a little touch-up, and I ended up doing a lot of touch-ups. We'll see how far I get into this. My wife will be home at some point in time, and she'll probably pull me away. Wife and 3 kids. And my oldest boy, my oldest child, who's a boy, his girlfriend is hanging out tonight for an unknown amount of time. So I'll have to be mindful of that. Well, thank you for watching however you do it. I appreciate it. And I'm glad you like it. Yeah, the Astral video was similar in many ways to the evil, not chaotic video I did, the defining evil for in original Dungeons and Dragons. I kind of pulled from the same sources a lot. They were different. I don't know if I need to do his teeth. Do I need to go back and hit the teeth? I mean, I might as well. I've got the white. The white's going bad. Or drying out, I should say, eventually. Let me finish what I'm doing. I'll go back and get the teeth on all these guys so I can get that the color I want. Don't leave your teeth pearly white. Always darken them with something. It stands out way more than you think it would. So like right here in the middle of his claw and this hand, that's probably not be that red color. I don't care. Because by the time I'm done doing this, that's probably going to be very dark. Like almost a black. Alright, let me go ahead and get his teeth. Again, I'm not trying to do any detail work at this point in time. How's the audio coming, by the way? Is it pretty good? I'm over exaggerating the eyes. I'll fix this later. The reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to go around dark around the eyes. I'll probably hit the eyes with its own specific color. And then I'll do my touch-ups at the end. Again, this is not the final run of this. Good, I'm glad it sounds good. Oh, Ravi. It's nice to see you, man. I like that Ravi made it here. That makes me happy. I was talking about keeping the Borderland from my Basic Expert box set. Ravi knows a little something about the keeping the Borderland himself, I'm sure. All right. Okay. See me do some sort of like playthrough with the faction of Bugbears. The party would have to be a little higher. They're second level basically across the board, and one's pretty close to being third. I think the thief was, if I remember right. I haven't played them recently enough, but that they would need to be a little higher level for sure. That would not be. You don't want to run a bunch of bugbears into a bunch of bugbears at low levels, or without a bunch of allies and friends. All right, let me get something. I was going to work on the wood. So, I'm going to do this kind of in reverse order for what most people would think, because I'm going to wire the chestnut down and use it as sort of a wash. So I'm going to paint the wood areas with the beige, the light color. And then we'll go ahead and get that blocked out. And then after that dries, I'll go ahead and hit the chestnut wash over that wood. I'll probably do the beige, then the metal. So I'll probably need to get my so I have a couple metals. I have no idea how old these two are. They're ancient. But these aren't the metals I typically use. So I have like a nice bronze. This is actually a brushed metal. This is it's a darker metal. And then another brushed metal. This is a more silver metal, I want to say. But I have a couple. That's a different brown. Oh, here's another one. Another one of these. This is probably my base coat for the metal, and then I'll go back over it with a darker. one of these two colors and then go over it with that. Or maybe I'll start with this and dry brush that on. That's probably what I'll do. So I'm not just doing a wash over light colors on everything. I'll probably do that in reverse. The question is, do I want these bronze or metal? Probably going to go metal. All right. Oh, one of the things my wife bought me here is Rodimus Keep. Yes, that's for those who know. They know about Rodimus Keep. That was an old one right there. That was kind of what I started this whole thing out with. That was back when I was doing BX stuff. Probably, man, would that be 4 or 5 years ago? Probably. So I have some Lord of the Rings miniatures from Games Workshop, and I really want to get into it, but I haven't yet gotten into it. Games Workshop is just so expensive these days. I just have a hard time with that. Anyways, my wife bought me a bunch of these little pallets. Like literally I have a stack of them. I haven't used them. This is kind of what I do, but I will probably be using those in a pinch. I'm not going to need a lot of my brown because, again, we're going to be watering this down, and there's not a whole lot of wood in here. This is just way, way too thick. So for Rodimus Keep, the people that don't know about that, I did a diary for my BX campaign for a while, and I was doing what I call, well, they called initially, it's wrote in the book as Rodimus Keep. And I did my own maps, I did my own version of it, I expanded on what they had. There was a lot to it, and it ended up becoming my campaign that went into a bunch of things, up to and including eventually into Keeping the Borderland. That was fun times. The cleric of the group made it to the highest level, actually. By the time we got done doing everything, he was 5th level, as I remember. And there was a 3rd level magic user and a 3rd level thief that was an NPC. And we had another magic user, if I remember right. Forget what our new guy was playing. But we also had an elf. And the elf player, which I'll just use that, I could probably say his first name because I don't think anyone put 2 and 2 together. John. John was a great dude. But he had to go do other things for a while. And our magic user had real life things come up. Couldn't continue to play for a little bit. And I had real life things come up and I had to stop my campaign for a while. But that was my weekly campaign for a long time. Yeah, the Rodimus Keep had a few starter rooms, a basic outline of the dungeon, and then the story kind of progressed into whatever the referee or dungeon master took it to. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to do these low parts here as wood. We'll have the fur as well, but We'll have some wood in here. I'll probably do the fur all the same color since I'm going to be distinguishing these miniatures from each other with the tunic color. All right, so there's one bit of the first layer of wood. I thought about going back and making Rodimus Keep as an actual physical 3D design. Actually having the thing built out with rooms and all that. Well, I was not expecting. Yeah, it was here. Yes, I would definitely say I ran a very sandboxy type of game. Yeah, that's that's very true. I tend to like that style of game. I've thought about getting a game going again, to be honest, but I don't have time quite yet. I kind of want to get through what I feel like are the important steps, parts of original Dungeons and Dragons, and then kind of expand outward from there. The original Dungeons and Dragons is not a very big crowd. And I certainly do this because I enjoy it, but I enjoy D&D in general, not necessarily just the 0 edition. All right, you can see how that's coming out. You can still see I got the details there. The little chevron in the middle for where there's like a shield reinforcement. Not really worried about the dark recesses between his arm and the shield. I know that's just going to be covered in dark colors. I just don't want white there. That's the most important thing. Also, we have 2 different bags back here with the leather. I'm probably going to do the belt, that chestnut cover, and come back and do I'll just do that now since I'm on the last one. I'll probably do the small parts of that with this beige. So we just don't have the same leather over everything. Oh, no, absolutely not. That's exactly what we're supposed to be doing here. Ravi is talking about um, D&D while I paint. That's the whole purpose of this. I thought that'd be kind of a fun crossover with what I'm doing. We were talking about other miniatures and whatnot I have, and I showed some of my books. And if people had questions about specific things in the rules, I was going to be willing to talk about that too. This little coin purse here, I'm going to make that different. Probably like a green or a red. We'll see what color I go with in the end. But I wanted some of these to be slightly different than just that rich leather look. You'll see what I'm talking about. That is crazy. That was the first one to pop up there. That's awesome. We'll see if we get anyone who's new, or if it's just pushing me out to subscribers. There we go. We got the second little bag. Go to the third dude. And Robbie, I don't know if you were there for it, but I have the metal version of the same miniatures right here. I'm probably going to do him up different and give him a like a secondary weapon. Oops, I haven't done this guy's wood anywhere. So I'll do his bag and his wood. I might have to thin my paint one more time though. My wife has been freezing, so the heat is turned up. And I have a real tall ceiling room, but I have no airflow as of right now. And I have my own little furnace for this one of the smaller rooms in the building. So my room gets significantly hotter than the rest of the house. Let me get a little bit of water. Yeah, probably doing some sort of different weapon. I have a lot of other miniatures I can literally just strip the weapon off of. I also have um, models that come with extra weapons. Most of those are dwarf and beastmen and ogres. Um, so I don't know what I might do. Oh, I say that and I just thought of what I know I need to do. All right, so I'll get me one of the fist spikes from the Ogre Kingdoms, and I will put that over that. It will take very little work. I'll have to cut the fist out of the gauntlet so that his fist is in there, and those leather straps will work perfectly. Instead of going to a shield, we'll go to a literal gauntlet fist with some sort of oversized spikes. And because it's disproportionate to his hand size, I think that's actually going to sell it even more. That's going to be really cool looking. And if I didn't have to go down to the basement to get that, I would just show you. So I'm going to give the leather a little bit of a rest, and I'm going to go over the first level of the brushed metal. So we're going to come over here with this grade here. This would be for the mace. I think for the shield, I'm going to go with this darker. So this one's not used. Do not need much of that at all. And you can't really water this down a whole lot. The pixel count, the pigment count, whatever you want to call it, of the metallic is not awesome. It's a cheap paint. So even though it's thicker, you can't over thin it, or otherwise you will not have any metallic look to it. It's kind of the negatives of having cheaper paint. Also, it doesn't go on overly thick, so it's going to take probably 2 coats. We'll see. I'd rather do it in 2 coats and not have it look super thick than do it in 1 coat and have it look like it was just caked on there. Also, if you do a gray first and then you do a silver over it, it helps a lot to sell the color and gives it depth versus just doing over a white. You can see there where the white shows through. But if I had a dark gray on there first, that would look a lot better. All right, so the question is that metal stuff on his waistband, is that like a gold color, a bronze color, or could that just be silver? I'm kind of feeling just silver, like it's ironworking into it. And at some point in time, you have to be super careful because you're going to be going over and around these rivets or these little studs. But I'm just kind of pulling them out right now with the silver. I probably will have to make some corrections later. But it gives me kind of like a rough, and again, I'm going to have to do that twice probably. Let's see here, get that closer. Yeah, I'm just going to have to get still photos. I have to find a way to take my still photo and then be able to integrate that into the live stream. There's a way I can do that with OBS where I can add like slides as I'm going. Whoops, forgot a silver color. I don't know how to do that. I won't say I don't know how to do it. I know how to do it. I don't know how to do it right this second and be seamless. I don't have it set up is probably a much better way of wording that. I thought about doing these scales in a particular color or maybe a bronze. I just don't think I'm going to do a lot of bronze. I'm probably going to do a darker steel color for the shield and then highlight it with the silver I'm using now. So it'll be a darker, grungier look than this one. And I'll probably do that top plate across the top in bronze for some difference in color. But that's probably about it. And when I get done doing this, even though I'm going over this with even a lighter color silver, it's actually going to be drawn down a lot with my wash. Oh, sorry, Spin, I didn't see it till just now. You have a great night, sir. Thank you for watching. Hmm. Nothing like watching paint dry, right? I think people like the finished product of painting and they like the learning from how to do the painting. I don't think necessarily the actual act, if you're just sitting there watching me, is good. I think this would be fun when I get more and I kind of build an audience of people who hang out and just talk. Like I don't want to necessarily talk about who the actual names of the people were in my D&D game because I don't want them to catch questions or heat or whatever, um, unless that's something they're wanting, you know. But at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of really cool stories. So I just kind of talk vaguely about it. And I think also for downtimes, just talking about bullet talks, like, like talking bullet points, I guess you could say. Like I've done a whole video on the astral and ethereal plane. So if I were to talk about the astral and ethereal plane and how it was represented in my world while I'm painting, that would kind of fill downtime until someone came in and asked questions. Because unfortunately, there's quite a delay. Right. Definitely when you play in a game, a physical, like in-person game, and they have the miniatures on the table, that is quite a difference. We were going through a good portion of my miniatures earlier, and there were some cool ones in there that I don't think people had seen, like skeleton jesters and several of my other ones like that. Spin was talking about having me do a playthrough with my Bugbear, and I kind of took it from like my party's position, but Ravi, I really hope that is the case. I am wanting to reach out to the old group and see what, if anything, we can do with that. Probably be Wednesdays. For now, my Wednesday, I think every Wednesday I'm going to try and do a live stream painting until I run out of miniatures to paint for a while. But I have more of a setup. So I have a really good camera. It's an Elgato face cam. And it does wonderful. But it does not like my computer because it's so old. And next year I'm buying me a new computer. And it's a 2K camera. It does everything in like 2K or 4K. Maybe it's 4K. All I know is my graphics card can't handle 2K. My graphics card was a graphics card you could buy in 2009. It's a good one. It was probably the second best graphics card you could have in 2009. It's a 3 gigabyte graphics card, slightly better, slightly smaller than what they called the Titan. I have the 1070 Ti, whatever it is. Anyways, that's because I built my computer a long time ago. But I'm going to be doing a brand new computer here in the next 6 months. And when I do that, the concept we were talking about where we would just play with real miniatures and I'd move them around the battlefield, very well could be a thing that could be done. Because I'd have enough cameras to be able to take a boom arm and put it out there so you could literally see everything your character would see. And then we'd use like fantasy grounds for just rolling dice. It wouldn't be actually anything, because that's one of the problems I run into with doing older versions of Dungeons and Dragons online is when you do anything with the the Roll20 or the Fantasy Grounds Unity, they don't have your rule system. Like I can get AD&D 2nd edition, but I don't think they have an AD&D 1st edition. Not even one to buy. So I don't even know how that would work. I think that's all the silver for this guy. All right, let me get the darker silver for the shield. It's almost like a black silver. Haven't used these paint in so long. Ravi, you have a great night too. Thank you for jumping in. I appreciate it. It's wonderful to hear from you. You can see why, though, for those who are watching this later or have snuck in and I don't see you at this very second. I have the ability to not worry about like all the recessed areas, because even with this dark silver, which I'm going to lighten up, it basically blacks everything out and you really can't see it. And once I hit those areas with a dark wash, you're not going to see it. I think I'm going to do this top part in this dark silver too, instead of the bronze. I think I'm not going to do bronze on these guys at all. At least not this mold. Maybe on one of the other ones, if I have like a lesser or maybe a more fancy, noble looking one. Because brasses and bronze can look fancier. And for those worried about like interrupting the zen state of what I'm doing, I'm not overly worried about that myself. Um, this is a skill I'm trying to build to be able to multitask painting and talking. Because regardless of what version I'm in, I don't know if I'll ever get rid of all my backlog, my gray pile of shame, or whatever color it might be. Okay, let's just talk about Warhammer 40k or Warhammer Fantasy Dwarves. If I have 500 miniatures, which I at least have that many, and I paint 3 in a Wednesday, there's 52 Wednesdays in a year. That's 106 miniatures a year. If I paint 106 miniatures in a year, that's a lot of miniatures. Let's just be honest. That is a tremendous amount of dwarves. And in 5 years, I'll be done painting dwarves. I got beastmen, I got ogre kingdoms. I have a lot. So I'm going to be doing a lot of painting. And if people really like this live stream stuff, I might be doing live streams like more than once a week. Just because I got to get through my backlog. Who knows how and what will grow from it. Okay, well, that's not bad. That's coming along. Let me go ahead and do the shoulder pad up here and see what I think of it. Kind of digging that color. So I need to get a better way to watch me paint. Not quite so far away. I think I'm going to do multiple cameras. This is my first time setting this up. And I don't know whether or not I'm going to hang a camera from the ceiling so when I hit this table it doesn't wobble. Or if I'm just going to use a stand. But I feel like I almost want to get me one of those Elgato Stream Decks so I can swap between camera angles. So where you have like the gross angle, the bigger angle, I don't know why. Why did I just use the word gross? For those who don't know, gross is a German word for big. So I'm over here just putting German into this. I don't ever do German on my channel, not really. Aber ich spreche nur einfach Deutsch. I speak some German. I went to college for German. So for those who watch the live stream, you now know something the average viewer doesn't. Okay. I'm not a huge fan of that as like a dark black, but I think when it gets brought up with the silver, that's going to look really good. I think that ties in well enough. I guess what I'm trying to get at. And I might actually need more of this color in here because it's using more of it than I was thinking it was going to. And you see if I can find how many viewers I have again. There was a way. There was a way I could see that. Oh, I can see that. So it looks like I have one just watching, lurking right now. That's cool. I do not mind lurkers. You are welcome to just sit and watch. I can appreciate that too. And I'm trying to think. I know I've heard other dungeon tubers talk about the fact they paint. I've never actually seen any of their final work though. Are there any other people who predominantly do like educational videos on Dungeons and Dragons and then are active painters too? I don't think there is. I don't see all dungeon tubers though. I kind of curate like I don't want to say favorites, but you know they kind of put people in front of you watch, or they think you're going to like. So I almost feel like I need to do more research by looking into this in like a major way. But I probably have to like clear my viewing history and use like a incognito tab and not be logged into YouTube to get a real list of people who kind of do this space. I just kind of feel like they're two separate groups, you know? Like some are um, dungeon tubers talking about like different versions of the game and how to play, educating people on how to play the game. Know a little something about that. And some build terrain. I don't really want to throw names out there because kind of want to see if they ever find me naturally. There's some I like more than others, and I don't want to alienate anyone by saying I like this person and another person getting upset because I didn't say I like them. I don't think they all get along, if that makes sense. And I don't want to taint something. I kind of want to see who like naturally finds me. I'm not really one do what everyone else is doing to try and fit in. If I was, I wouldn't be making 1974 Dungeon and Dragon videos. Well, at least not to the degree I am. I just would hit the highlight reel of, you know, this is original Dungeon and Dragons. This is this book maybe, and move on. I want to say I have close to 150 original Dungeon and Dragon videos out there now. For better or for worse. Speaking of worse, a viewer, pointed out that I may not need or benefit from having a face cam. They correctly stated that face cams are great for people who are trying to generate an audience that can interact with them and to have a personal feel and stuff like that. That is actually a very, very correct statement. I 100% agree with that. And it's always been my intention to have that. But as the harsh reality is, sometimes people make better radio voices than they make TV hosts. Maybe no one wants to look at me. I'm doing a little self-deprecating humor there. But no, honestly, I know it looks like I'm reading a script. I can see my eyes bouncing too. I have been looking hard at the prompters so that the camera is directly behind the text and my eyes are looking right at the camera so it's less noticeable. Even if all it does is just hide the camera so I don't have to look at it. Cause I got like that eye aversion. If you look at my old videos especially, it's really bad. I'd avert my eyes from the camera so bad. It was like I was rolling around the screen. I couldn't look at the camera at all. But now it's whenever I'm done reading or I'm going to talk, I try and make eye contact. And I do a pretty good job. But then I immediately have to look at what I'm going to say next. And I have to read. And part of that is probably a little bit of ADHD. Like a little bit of hyper, whatever the acronym is, hyperactive. I feel like I'm going so slow. And I say that because, oops, I'm getting a phone call. Let me mute this real quick. All right, so the eventuality did come. My wife and kids came home. Let me go ahead and get um, this. Let me finish blocking out this color. Let me do the leather, and I think I'll stop there, and then we'll catch up on the next live stream I can, doing the next layer. So this here is going to be um, the leather color. I don't know what you guys can hear. They're talking back and forth and sorting out how things are going tonight. All right, so this is actually going to be a color that goes over the beige. I'm doing it a little bit thicker right now to get the leather. I talked about the fact already I'm going to have to go over this steel a couple times probably. Yeah, I'm liking this leather. And again, I'm going to hit this all with a dark wash. And this fur will not be this color in the end. I'm not going to have like a red, like this color red of fur. The skin tone might be this red, sort of. It's going to be darker. But it's not going to remain this obnoxious red color, or what I consider an obnoxious red color. All right, we got that. Got that. Do a little bit of leather on here. Go down this glove. Alright, so that's basically what I'm going to do on these other two. And that'll be it for this stream, I think. And then I will come back and finish this out in the next stream. Oh, not quite. This leg. And that's going to dry interesting. The other strap you really can't see very well. Yeah, so we're getting a lot of the white taken care of. The colors are blending together. I also need to do this base. I don't know what I'm going to do for a base. I guess it does show on the top there. I just didn't have it painted white, so you don't see it. I'm not sure you're going to see it very well with that painted white first. And I think I'm going to do some pictures when I get done with this stage. And I'll do that on my community tab. So make sure you subscribe if you want to follow the progression of these and keep up with it. There's also a specific group, not a group, a playlist for this that I'm probably going to title for this year. Yeah. What else I have? Oh yes, gotta do the inside of the shield here. All right. Belt. Yeah. I think this leather color over the belt is a good choice. it's going to separate the tunic behind it. And I'm kind of rushing this along right now, mostly because my daughter needs me to go to the store for her, and I don't want to wait too long, and it is almost 10 o'clock. Next time I hopefully will start sooner. Alright, well there's the second one of these. There we go. This is such a great leather color. This chestnut. I like it because it's not totally consistent, which means that it creates a variance that's random, which is kind of nice. I'm not even sure I dislike the studs being leather looking versus the steel look. I kind of almost prefer it, that the only thing steel on this belt is the buckle. Like, I don't feel like it needs to have steel studs or iron studs all the way down. All right. Now I gotta do the stud parts, and we're good. I think if I was to do a different thing than bugbears, I think I would do the studded a different color. Um, because having the leather be a slightly different leather than the stud makes sense. Maybe I'll address that with washes. Like I'll do a warmer wash over the non-stud parts, and then on the studded parts on the leg and the left leg and the right arm, I would do that as a colder wash. Here's a perfect example of where you can't see that leather because I didn't have it white. So I'm kind of making up the details we go. Throw a guy around the top of the hand. right through here. Okay, did I get all of it? See how that silver dried? Isn't that cool? Now I'm going to dry brush it with that silver, the brighter silver, and that's going to pop. Okay, guys, so I painted some on my 3 Bugbear. I'm nowhere near done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and refine my setup a little bit more, change some of the camera angles, work it some more on this, watch this back, see what I think. And then I'm going to hit this again either later this week or next Wednesday. And then I'll go ahead and get this figured out with my the rest of these colors, and then probably work on. I'll probably do the basing between now and then, but I'll do the I'll start getting the boss ready, and I'll do him probably with the repair of the one Bugbear I got painted. I'll probably do some sort of weapon on that so he looks different, and we'll go from there. Anyways, guys, hope you guys like it. Let me know if you've done anything different. Any suggestions you have, let me know down in the comments too. I appreciate it. See you guys in the next video. Keep rolling those dice. Bye.